All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the Heroes World podcast. I am here this week with John, Rob, and Andre.
Hello.
Hey, everyone. So before we start, let's start typically with our random, or I guess our typical introduction, which is where can we find more about these gentlemen? So, Andre, John, start it us off.
Okay. The most used social media platform for us is the Facebook page, Heroes World Online. Just the main page for the shop. Everything gets routed through there. We do have a website, heroesworldonline.com. And then you'll usually find me on Instagram, jho.heroesworld.
Andre, yourself?
That covers pretty much everything. I'm just getting onto the Instagram, so as I figure that out, I will let you know what that tag is.
Just getting on the Instagram. Next is TikTok. Rob, where can we find you more on the social medias if you're...
Yeah, well, first, thanks for having me on, guys. Instagram and Twitter, it's at Rob Gaudette, which is ROBGAUDETTE. Pretty
Awesome.
easy. Yeah, I'm not on, and the Instagram, Andre is like 55 years old. I'm going to get on the Instagram.
Thank you very much.
Andre is doing the Facebook first,
Yeah,
and then now he's moving to
I've got the MySpace,
the Twitter, he's gonna move from the Vine to the next thing. So it's gonna be great. It's starting off slowly. So this week our topic is comic book movies. We're gonna talk a little bit about comic book movies this week in terms of things you can watch at home. We are still stuck in our quarantine world. So us four today are going to talk about our Fantastic Four. We're going to talk about 4 movies that we love in categories that I have arbitrarily put
But not
together.
Fantastic Four.
Not Fantastic
Four. Or will it be on anyone's list?
I don't think there are 4
so.
Fantastic Four movies. So I think there's only 3 for now, at least.
There is 4, technically.
Which is the 4th one?
Well, you've got the two
bootleg one.
Yeah, the bootleg one, the 2, and then you have the new one with Josh Trank that directed a couple years ago.
You're right. Yeah, we talked about the unofficial one not being official one, but yeah, there are 4 Fantastic Four. Oh boy. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about 2 or positively this week. So it's gonna be movies that are the best in that category and our guilty pleasures. So it's going to be a draft style. So one of us will start. That we have randomly selected John Ho to start first.
Random.
Don't look behind the curtain. Don't look behind the curtain. It'll be so John will start us off, then Rob, then Andre, and myself. So the categories that we'll be discussing that are arbitrarily discussed will be best MCU film, best non-MCU film, best DC film, and best DC animated film, and finally best non/DC film. So those are our 5 categories. Again, we'll be discussing our best in class, our Fantastic Four, our Mount Rushmore, our top 4, and then we'll be rotating and starting all over again and doing our guilty pleasure. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to keep
my Mount Rushmore is 4 different heads for Winter Soldier, right?
So we're gonna do positive vibes this week and start, and then this will maybe give the ball rolling for you folks at home to watch some films or maybe discover a comic book film that you didn't realize was not a comic book film. So we're gonna find out what it is, because frankly, if we all went the best, like for example,
there's a lot to go through, man. If you're sitting at home and you decide to hit all these Marvels, even just this is just Marvels. That's crazy.
Yeah, I think we're all agreed, and we can probably after John goes first agree that that's probably the best film. But it's gonna be some slim pickings soon.
This Avengers is in like Spanish or something. The Avengers, or whatever. Okay.
All right, John. So you are gonna go first. So what is
number 1? Wow, I'm so
1?
surprised that I get to pick first.
All right,
number
John,
1. So we're MCU, right?
Yes.
And
So,
I'm gonna pick Iron Man 2. No, I'm just joking. I'm gonna pick Winter Soldier. That is the definitive best Marvel movie. So long, suckers. Have fun picking something else other than Winter Soldier 2. I mean, Winter Soldier 1. Sorry, 1.
You can't even get the title right.
Yeah. So John, for those uninitiated and possibly never seen Winter Soldier, what
Get
is
out
the
of here.
dealio?
Get out.
What is
Get
happening?
out. CFO. Get
Why
out.
is it the
That
best
way.
one, John? Because
Or
you
that
need to
way.
give us a little bit of an idea as to why that's the case.
Just everything about it, the tone, the entire cast. Chris Evans just crushes Captain America, like just being that character, and then with the Winter Soldier, the sound, the fight choreography. Like I think I challenge you to argue me a better fight scene than Cap versus Bucky with the knife flipping and everything like that. Like just everything, the tone, everything. Like if all our Marvel movies had the tone of Winter Soldier, I would have liked
Andre
to see
would
what
be very
Black.
happy.
Yeah, like and Endgame was fun and things like that. A lot of the Marvel movies are fun. But when I think Winter Soldier, I'm like, man, imagine if all the movies after that came out all had that similar tone. Like maybe it might be a little too dark, but just everything they used for it was like amazing.
To counter,
and every time I turn it on, I'll watch it all. Like I do like the Guardians films, but when I turn them on, if I'm not in a specific mood, but Winter Soldier, every time it'll just catch me. You start watching one scene, you end up watching the whole thing.
Do you think though that that's also because it's not your typical comic book movie? I mean, you can look at Winter Soldier as being it's a very like espionage action spy thriller type movie that just so happens to have, and that's how I've always categorized it to people. Watch Captain America, I'm like, no, you got to watch this movie because it's not your typical superhero movie, right? It's very different.
It's a good movie that has superheroes.
Yeah, that's the point. It's a movie first, and then it's a spy movie, and it's a poignant movie because it talks about relevant issues, and it deep dives into everything while wrapping it up into this amazing package of treating the source material with such respect that it is the pinnacle, right?
And to give the credit to the folks at Marvel and everyone right now make comic book movies is that with the Winter Soldier, you can do different genres and you can do different things, whether it's horror, whether it's suspense, whether it's comedy, whether it's quote unquote musical movies. We're not going to get a burnout, unlike Westerns, because how many, that was a genre that was very popular when most of us were not alive, when they were giving Oscars out for best Westerns and John Wayne was kind of rolling on the plains. But eventually, how many times can you do a Western? The same stories over and over. So I think as much as we love Winter Soldier and want all of it to be the same, there would be a burnout eventually. We'd be like, man, can we have some fun stuff here? Can we do something different?
They had fun though. Like, and man, everybody just crushed it. Even Falcon, Anthony Mackie as Falcon, like he crushed it. Like, good job of showing that relationship of him and Cap and stuff,
But also, it's not a film that like you would put your daughters in front of like John and be like, let's watch the Winter Soldier together. You could do Guardians and say like, let's start with Guardians first.
Like comic book movies or comic books aren't all geared towards audience. And I get that when they're doing the movies, they want to hit the broadest thing. But comics have survived because they are focused on an adolescent to adult audience. And that's what the Winter Soldier proves. So yes, maybe you don't show your 6-year-old daughter Winter Soldier, but maybe when they're 8 or 10, you do it. And then they might be like, wow, this is interesting. What is this dichotomy of freedom versus security? And that's a dialogue you might, have to have or whatever.
Well, you got to start them off with some of the starter movies to get them involved. You just can't throw them straight into the Winter Soldier. So you want to start with, that's why there's the kid comic books like the Archies and stuff to kind of roll you into just getting used to them. And then
the Ant-Mans.
The Ant-Mans of the world. And then the Young Avenger Ant-Man movie eventually. But okay, so we're enough about the Winter Soldier. Rob, you have the number 2 pick.
About Winter Soldier. No,
yeah.
I'm just going to mute you, John.
Winter Soldier with subtitles. This is tough because I have like 2. Well, obviously, since John took Winter Soldier, I have 2, and I'm really kind of struggling as to which one I want to choose.
If you take Black Panther, Andre is half.
Okay, so that means I have 3 to choose from. Because I gotta admit, part of me really wants to choose Black Panther just to see what Andre squirm like.
You gotta make him dance. Gotta make him dance.
No, you know what?
Black Panther is my number 2. For sure. Yeah.
I'm really torn, but I think I'm gonna go with the first one, like Iron Man, the first Iron Man, 12 years ago. March 2nd came out, right? 12 years. I mean, to me, Iron Man was like, it was a B-list character when they came out. Like, you're like, oh, okay, it's an Iron Man movie, and like, I went to the theater to see it because I'm a comic book guy and I enjoyed comic books and the movies.
Yeah.
But it reminded me, it had the same kind of tone that the original Superman did in terms of its heart behind it.
Yep.
And it kicked off this entire, like, I myself, I had no idea what it would birth, what it would become. And that teaser at the end, with Nick Fury saying, talk about the Avengers Initiative, I was like, it exploded my mind. But as a movie in and of itself, I can put that on, like how John can watch Winter Soldier. I can put on Iron Man. I can watch it because it's just so good. Like, I really think Jon Favreau did an amazing job with that movie. And we can't deny that Robert Downey Jr. really was the pillar of whatever came else, whatever hell has come after that, right? It's been built on his shoulders. So I'm gonna go with Iron Man 1 as probably my favorite, because John took Winter Soldier.
Good pick. Yeah, we can all agree Winter Soldier's the best one, so that's undisputed champion. The only undisputed probably of all the movies we're gonna pick going today. So, Andre, go for it.
Wakanda forever, baby.
Wakanda forever. Oh man, what are you gonna do, Stu?
No, I got this. Go on.
It's neck and neck for me with Winter Soldier. I do believe, though, that the Black Panther movie is a better movie and a better standalone film than Winter Soldier. But Winter Soldier is the best comic book movie. But I think Black Panther, the characters, the acting,
number one,
the plot, the effects. I think it's just on another level
outside of the train fight,
other Marvel movies, and I think it's very I think it's very underrated in the Marvel movies. You talk to a lot of people. I talked to a lot of people at the store. They're like, "Oh no, I don't like Black Panther." Blah blah blah. But there's things that I think people don't see when they watch it. And one of the things that there was a criticism of the movie, and they're like, "Oh well, Black Panther wasn't the most interesting character." And I'm like, "Yeah, kudos." I'm like, you have a movie where
everyone else was so good.
And they're all strong female characters, and none of it was forced and stuff. And everybody liked Michael B. Jordan because he's not a true villain. He's a misguided individual, and that works on a totally another level. And
got the Michael B. Jordan cut going here.
So it's a sweet film. They've got their work cut out for them for the sequel, because I think the bar is set really high with that first movie, and it got a lot of recognition. So I hope they can come out with a second one that I think it might be one of the Marvel movies that'll do like Winter Soldier, in that the second movie might be way better than the first, because that first Captain America was awful.
Let's keep on going on.
It's got heart. It's got heart.
That's a grenade. I'm gonna mute you.
It's got heart.
It's
got heart.
Andre, we got lots to go over.
I see what he's saying.
I got it. Okay.
No, Black Panther was so good that when they killed him,
John,
when they killed him, I was prepared to watch the rest of the movie with no Black.
I'm muting. Okay, so we're gonna keep on going, because John, we don't have time for your shenanigery, because we're gonna wait for you to do your next drop joke anyways. So we're gonna keep on going. Okay, so
let's go, Stu. What do you got there?
It's a cultural icon film. It's inspirational. It has changed. It inspired young girls to do things in science and do things that typically they never would have done. And Okoye and everyone in it is great. So no denying that. The movie that I would say is the first Avengers film. It is something that we just don't think about often. We look at Endgame. We look at all the other Avengers films. That first one, being able to do what they did, to bring characters from individual films and bring them together.
When they all come, like Cap, Iron Man, and Thor, and everybody's on the screen at once, you're like, whoa.
Is it the best? Questionable, but the spectacle. I think we can all remember when we saw that movie. what happened, and some of us saw it multiple times. You just never imagining that they were able to pull something off of that magnitude. So Avengers is the first one, just because now we're so used to like, okay, well, when is Tom, Holland going to show up? when like, again, that first time it happened, as to Rob's point, when the building that shoulders from Iron Man, the Avengers is the first one. I
just rewatched it last weekend because it's been a long time.
Yeah,
and I got to say, it holds up. Sometimes some of those don't hold up as well.
Yeah,
right, because you can tell they had their stumbles. The only thing about the first Avengers movie that I really have a problem with, I'll be honest with you, is it takes me out of that movie. It takes me out of that movie so hard. It's just so that's the only thing about it, and that's why I was glad they reverted to. But yeah, you're right, Stu. It holds up. It's great.
It's great. Okay, so we're gonna jump on to best non-MCU. So, John, what is the best non-MCU film?
Non-MCU. Quickly off the top of my head, I'm going to go to Fox and Deadpool 2, I think, for me.
Deadpool 2?
Yeah, I'm going to throw Deadpool 2 out there. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. I did not expect that one. Deadpool 2?
Really? I was going to say something, maybe X-Men, but I don't know, the fun that was in Deadpool with the Colossus and everything like that, and Cable, like Josh Brolin killed that Cable. I don't know, that was just really fun to me. Nothing else really jumps out in my head right now. Maybe after I hear some of your guys' stuff, but Deadpool 2, like, I don't know, wow. Deadpool 1, like, it might be a better crowd pleaser overall. But
this is
going
in
through
NFL
the origins.
Circles. This is a reach. This is a reach. All right, good. All right, cool. Rob, go for it.
Back. I'm going to go back to the first Blade movie with Wesley Snipes. I get that the special effects do not hold up, right? Like that blood, Deacon Frost being cut in half and the blood coming back, and I get it.
Yeah.
Blade 2.
Oh,
Blade
it does.
Really
and Blade 3 is even worse. But that first Blade movie, man, I remember going to the theater and seeing. I was at 98, I think, or 97. I remember going to the theater and seeing that, and I was just like, it was an R-rated movie. It was an R-rated superhero movie, crazy. Right? Wesley Snipes was like really at the peak of his fandom at that point.
The beginning of all this, like Wesley Snipes kind of engineered like the beginning of the superhero movie. Yeah.
Well, and that opening scene, right, at the rave. At the blood rave,
the club,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, that was, and first of all, just so you know, that scene was talked about because of how great it was, but also because it was the first non-adult appearance of Tracy Lords, right? Because she was the girl who lured the guy in, and everybody was talking about that. This is way before the internet, right? People were talking about it. It was a great film, and the two sequels did not hold up. Sorry, Guillermo del Toro fans, but Blade 2 was not that great.
Blade 2.
Let's keep on going.
The CG.
But anyway, so Blade 1,
Donnie Yen.
All right.
Blade 1 was amazing.
We'll come back to this. There's some guilty pleasure moments. Don't worry, you guys can talk about that. Okay, Andre.
So I'd probably say
Blade 2.
No,
Blade 3.
Spider-Man, the first one, Sam Raimi.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, that to me was. I still think Tobey Maguire played the best Peter Parker.
Oh man, can I take your picture for the school yearbook? Oh man, it's so good.
So it was just, there was moments in it that I didn't dig, but overall, like just seeing Spider-Man and stuff looking like real, like the costume looked great. From the first teaser poster. With him on the Twin Towers, and you saw the reflection in his eye. It was the first, I think, big hit of that superhero movie genre and stuff.
Yeah.
And the film holds up. It's the closest to what Spider-Man is.
That's surprising. And so is that a nostalgic thing though? Because everybody was waiting for a Spider-Man movie, and then
when Peter Parker was a nerd.
it comes out and you're like, oh my God, we're finally seeing Spider-Man on the big screen. Do you think it really though holds up in comparison to the other ones?
Definitely. I think every other Spider-Man movie that they've done is nowhere near as good as
Okay.
Okay.
Let me go through my, and then we're gonna have a general discussion. So first off,
Homecoming.
No, that's part of the DCU. Okay, so fun fact, Rob, I was not old enough to see Blade when it was rated R, so I bought a ticket with some buddies to watch Ever After, and we snuck in.
Oh wow,
that's a musical, right?
No, that was the Drew Barrymore,
but it was
Cinderella.
Music.
Yes,
it was music, right?
With Dougray Scott, right?
Yes,
it's supposed to be the original Wolverine.
Yes,
that's right. Yeah.
Did he break his leg there?
I know it was Mission Impossible 2. John Woo.
Mm-hmm.
He broke his in the John Woo film, and then Hugh Jackman jumped in. So the film that I would say is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. That is the one that, to Andre, I get what you're saying, but I think that is Spider-Man 2 was going to be my choice. It's been my number one movie for a long, long time. Spider-Man 2, just with Doc Ock and everything, but Spider-Man
2 was
it is so amazing in so many different ways of what they did with the animation and Miles Morales and the story, just the tone and the things and the shout outs with old Peter Parker and Nicolas Cage. Everything about that movie is a joy to watch, and it's probably the most kid friendly out of all our 4 movies because we picked 2 rated R movies and then Andre PG-13, I think. Was it Spider-Man PG-13? So this is
I want to say
like the kid movie, and there's some real moments of there's some heavy moments in that movie when Spider-Man, spoiler alert, R.I.P. bites the bullet, and you're like, wow, and of course
right out the gate.
And that was Chris Pine, so as the voice of Spider-Man. So they were able to get different voices in there, and I'm excited to see kind of what happens. But
did they kill Miles' uncle in that one too? Did the Prowler get taken out?
Yeah,
that was really sad.
Killed Blade. They killed Blade because he was Blade. That's it.
Not as
Ali. They're like, yeah, you're Blade. You can't be in this movie anymore. You're out. So that's it. Any other random thoughts about this round? Any surprises outside?
I'm just surprised that Andre picked Spider-Man 1. I am because
it was a big deal at the time.
No, it's a big deal.
I can see that.
It's a big deal. Yeah. I think Sam Raimi's did, to Andre's point, Sam Raimi's did the balance between comedy and action, and everything was slapstick, really Spider-Man to its essence. And you can tell that Sam Raimi's, who said time and time again that it's his favorite comic book movie. And, outside of Andre's disdain for Bruce Campbell showing up in his movies, it holds up. It's
Macho
great.
Man.
The Macho Man. Like,
that's right. It's Bonesaw.
Oh, God.
Bonesaw.
Yeah. There's
I have such a soft spot for adhering to the source material, and I get that people have to modernize and put their own.
That is more true Spider-Man.
I'm such an old school comic book reader. Like, I've been reading comics since I was 6. So yes, it's cool to see like the Into the Spider-Verse and whatever, but like that movie, it just to me, again, and while it wasn't perfect, it was so close. The casting. I didn't agree with the whole casting, but
Green Goblin, awesome.
As
William Dafoe.
Norman Osborn, that was genius, and it sucked that he was in an Iron Man-esque suit, but he killed that part, him looking into the mirror. Even what is it?
James Franco,
Yes, Harry Osborn.
Yeah, the only person I didn't think Kirsten Dunst was a good Mary Jane, but that's a small thing. You know what I mean? The rest of the movie is so good, and even Uncle Ben and Aunt May, I don't. Again, the new stuff making her young and new Marvel stuff, they don't even refer to Uncle Ben. I'm like, get out of here! You don't have Spider-Man without great responsibility, without great power.
To be fair,
great power, great responsibility, and in the Marvel stuff, they've never even said it. So
you're right. In the new ones, they've never said it. Whoa, Hunter. You're demonetize us. You never saw them say the phrase, so that bites. But
you know what though? But do you need it?
For that.
Yeah, but do you need it though? I mean, we all know Spider-Man's backstory, just like we all know Batman. We don't need his origin stuff, right? So I think in a way that the MCU has worked that mantra into his fiber without having to pull from it.
disagree with you 100%.
You got to say it once in the new trilogy.
We know it. Ask young kids; they don't know it. Like that. That is.
Yeah, fair enough.
Be his mantra. That's his reason for doing everything. You know, so it's like.
Which was the movie where they went out of their way to phrase it like completely differently? Was that the Andrew Garfield one?
They never said anything. Yeah, Andrew Garfield. Yeah, that was. They
reworded it so they didn't say it. Like why?
Well, that was Andre. That was your boy Martin Sheen as Uncle Ben, and
it was really weird.
That hurt badly. Okay, so we're gonna jump over to the next category, which is best DC film. John, you're up first. What do you got?
Oh man, what was this? What did I have on this list? It was the Emancipation of One Heart. No, Batman Begins. Sorry, I took it. No, yeah, Batman Begins. I'm going with Batman Begins.
Okay, yeah.
Why? Because Dark Knight was the golden child of the DCU, I guess. But Batman Begins just the kind of like what Rob was pointing out. That first time you see Batman, even though he doesn't put the costume on until towards the end, like when he's on the rooftop and you're just like, wow, this is crazy. We're getting Batman back on the screen. And just the whole journey to him becoming Batman. It was just, I thought that was really.
Okay, Rob.
Yeah, so I was gonna go with the Dark Knight because that seems to be like everybody's probably favorite Batman movie. But you know what? I'm gonna go.
I was gonna take it, didn't you?
I did. Because who would pick Batman Begins over the Dark Knight?
Andre would too. I don't know where Andre is on the screen, but Andre would too.
But you know what? I'm gonna go, and I know it's for pure nostalgic reasons, but I don't mind the new DC movies, but I'm gonna go right back to the original Superman. The 78 one.
Yep.
And I got to tell you, I've shown my son, who's 11, and he's used to these new computer effects and everything else. But even he was impressed with that moment when Christopher Reeve comes out of the rotating doors and flies up the side of the building. Yep. Right. I mean, that whole movie was based on the tagline of "You will believe a man can fly," and still we're 32 years later, or whatever it is, and you can still, or more than that. 42 years later, you can still look at that and you're like, wow, like that still holds up, right? Yep. Yes, obviously the style choices and this and that and some of the plot, but that movie holds up for me, and it's pure nostalgic. I mean, I have watched that movie countless times because it just brings me such joy, and I love it.
No,
so
Christopher Reeve as Superman, yeah, man.
I mean, that scene when he's in her apartment and he wants to tell her he's Superman, and you see how he's hunched over, and then he straightens up, he takes the glasses off, and then he changes out and he goes back. Like, just that in and of itself, like changing characters by a small little adjustment of his posture. I mean, that to me is.
How'd you explain the time travel part at the end?
Well, I usually start drinking at that point, so I'm like, whatever.
So the Superman one is yeah.
Now I will say I've heard that Kevin Feige. Now this could just be folklore, but I've heard that Kevin Feige has people watch that first movie, the Donner movie, before they start shooting the MCU movies, just to
the Donner cut or the Donner or the original.
Sorry, the original, like the Superman. So that way it gives them an idea of the framework of what they want to do. I don't know if that's true or not, but I've heard that in numerous interviews and stuff like that. So
Lois and Clark in that movie, man. Yeah, Christopher Reeve, like even just when he's going to buy like hot dogs and walking around as Clark Kent as like kind of a goof, man, he killed it. Yeah.
Andre.
Okay, so that's
Andre passes. No, he's gonna pick Man of Steel, right?
Yeah, Man of Steel.
I like Man of Steel too.
Dude, I love Man of Steel as well. I do.
Man of Steel is solid.
Stu hates Man of Steel.
Yeah.
That movie doesn't get enough credit, man. I actually really enjoy Man of Steel.
First of all, Henry Cavill is an amazing Superman.
Okay, man, he's the Superman we deserve, but he's never been given the movie we deserve.
That's true.
But there's so many cool moments in that film. I like how it was shot. I love the score. I like that they took the time to explain why his origin was changed. Like they didn't just give us that Superman. They said, okay, it's because his parents made him hide and he didn't know what he wanted to do. But you go to that fight with Zod and the other acolytes at the end. I just like, that is just fantastic. It's super epic. Heart-wrenching moments, you know, like when they did the flashbacks and he was in the school hiding in the closet.
Yep.
And what was her name? The actress?
Diane
Diane,
Ladd. Yeah.
like, just listen to my heart, you know, and just focus on me. And I'm like, oh man, that's it. And I wish they brought that back to Batman versus Superman. Like, he's like, he could have listened for her heartbeat or whatever, because that would have been a great moment. But yeah, it's just a really, like, it was a different film, but I liked how when they told the story, it went from the flashbacks to explain comic booky in that sense, in that, you know, you knew what was going on, and then they did the flashbacks, and it had a lot of, like, you know, cool moments and stuff in it with Dr. Hamilton and stuff, and although again they wasted a lot of characters by killing them off and stuff, but yeah,
that movie got a lot of slack for people saying, oh, it killed too many people, it was total but, you know, listen, Zack Snyder said, we wanted to kind of ground it in as much reality as you possibly can. And how do you do that without, like, acknowledging you've got this, like, godlike being? Of course there's going to be destruction, right? So, yeah, man, I love Man of Steel. And Kevin Costner as Pa Kent, I thought he was a great choice. I quite enjoyed him.
I don't think the criticism was about the people, bystanders dying. I think it was this killing of Zod. And it's just, you know, it's difficult for people to see Superman make that type of decision to kill someone. Typically, it's not something. It's like Batman shooting a gun. It doesn't feel right. So people.
But he wasn't Superman, though. Don't forget. Really, like he actually wasn't Superman until the very end of the movie. Like, until Lois Lane says, "Welcome to the planet," which is the double meaning, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think he was Superman at that point, right?
Exactly.
So,
and the thing I loved about that is that basically Zod had that, and Zod was a great actor. He basically said, he says, I am getting stronger, I am adapting, and he says, I will come at you until this planet is destroyed and new Krypton is born. He literally had no choice. And even when he's holding him, you can see that internal struggle when he snaps his neck. He's like, if somebody says, I will kill your family, I will kill your extended family, I will come back and re-kill them, I will kill everybody you know, you can't stop me. And I'm going to get stronger, faster, better, and adapt to doing this. Come on, man. Like, there was no choice. Listen, his only option would have been if for some reason he knew he could fly into space and take him to the end of time. But that's a very comic book thing. Like you said, you got to ground this movie. And it also was perfect because now he knows he will never resort to that. You know, this is my first day on the job. I didn't know what I was doing. I was given the worst ultimatum ever, but I had a choice to make, and he made the choice, and now he knows. He's like, you know what, I have to be able to do better. But yeah, again, sad that we'll never get a Man of Steel 2. Sad that we'll never get to see Henry Cavill play a Clark Kent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he didn't get to do that in any of the other films that featured him as Superman. And I think it's a very I think that's going to be the tragic story of whatever happens with where DC goes forward, is that we potentially lose Henry Cavill as Superman.
Well, thank you, Andre, for that beautiful soliloquy as waiting for John to come back in as he ducked out. I assume to go out to save Gotham or Metropolis to come back. You got the bat signal. The movie that I was struggling with, and I'm surprised that both of them were still here at the very end for my fourth and final.
Are you gonna say Dark Knight?
No, not even Dark Knight. I was a toss-up between Batman 1989 version with Michael Keaton / Wonder Woman, and the more I thought about the two as we were discussing it, I have to go Batman. That movie, Jack Nicholson, and what it spawned. We talk about, you know, the beginning of, we talked a little bit before about, look what Blade did. In no way comparison in what Batman did, where the merchandise, the toys, like, I remember.
Is it the origin of I'm Batman? Was that Michael Keaton? He was like, I'm Batman.
Yeah. He also was a really good Bruce Wayne for some odd reason. Like, if you would have said Michael Keaton, this comedian, the guy that I've known from like all these like comedy.
Mr. Mom
Mr. Mom was going to be and Tim Burton infusing his stuff. And to be fair, it kind of, the ramifications of that, just like Black Panther, was that Bat God was created, and the tone of the darkness of Batman. It was so, let's not forget, Batman at that point was campy. It was, you know, it was the 60s romp, and no one took him seriously. And then this movie switched it on a dime, where it was like, oh, the Dark Knight, this is dark again, and the Joker, and what that kind of spawned.
I remember when that movie was announced, like this, again, this is way back in like the 80s, right? So kids, we used to have newspapers and Starlog magazine. But you would, I remember reading what the synopsis was to my mom, and you know, about the Joker and Smilex gas, and she's like, oh, it's gonna be a comedy. And I was like, oh, okay.
People got murdered.
Right. But exactly. But it wasn't. And people were lining up. You couldn't reserve seats in your theaters. Yeah. Right? You had to line up. And I lined up for people that had the bat symbol like shaved into their head, the amount of merchandising. I mean, the posters, just the symbol. It was just everywhere, right? I mean, it was, that summer was Batmania, and it was great.
It had the best commercial. Remember, it was the Danny Elfman theme, and it was like a panorama of because it was just kind of, and then it pulls back and it's the bat symbol. Didn't even show a scene from the movie. Nothing. It was that was advertisements at the best, man.
Yeah. So that was the movie that struck a chord with me when I was a kid and I watched it. And again, there was moments where you reflect back and it's like, well, it really issued in, even when that moment when Jack Nicholson brought that gun out and the bat plane flew up, like the Batwing flew up to the moon, and you're like, what the hell is that? Like the guy, like there are moments in that movie, including the laughing like thing in his pocket. Like there's just things that Jack could do and no one else could do, and he was, and to this day, you know, it holds up, like because there's nothing in it that holds to an extent, because Gotham is kind of like, it's a period piece kind of movie. So
I'm going to tell you what my favorite scene of that movie is, and it absolutely is ridiculous. But it's when Alfred lets Vicky Vale into the Batcave, right? And she's standing there and she's like, "Why didn't you tell me?" And he was like, you know, he's going on his spiel, and then he's like talking about the Joker, and he's like, "But he's out there right now, and I've got to go to work." And it's just like the vault opens up, you know, and then you see the clicking of the belt, and he goes up, and the lights are shining on his eye, and I
makeup on his eyes.
I rewind that on my VHS and watch it again. I was like, because I gotta go to work. And I was like, yeah.
And then you see the exhaust in the Batmobile where the fire comes out of the back, and you're like, oh my god, the Batmobile, like that Batmobile is still just unbelievable.
Oh,
like
that's
as
amazing.
much as the animated series Batmobile is dope, that original Batmobile, like we can all have a soft spot for it. So
I actually have a Hot Toy cast version of it I'm looking at right. I love it, and that's why like Lego just made that like $300 Batmobile set on that one, because it's so
iconic.
As much as I love the Tumbler, it's not the same. Okay, so we're gonna jump over to, because DC is the undisputed king of animation in terms of comic book movies. So John, you're first. What DC comic movie, and we probably know which one you're going first, so let's get it over with. But let's start off with you making your joke. You're gonna which bad one are you gonna start with first?
Man,
the John House special.
I was gonna say, can we do? I will toss a recommendation out to the Harley Quinn series that's going on right now, the animated series. I don't know. I actually was gonna go serious on this one.
Okay, well, let's go. Let's go. Yeah.
That one and faithfully reproduce the comic, but I'm gonna go to the definitive best ever DC animated movie, and that's Mask of the Phantasm.
Oh!
You thought I wasn't gonna pick that, Rob?
Rob, man, we knew. All of us knew. It's undisputed.
I know, but I thought it's early. He might be still sleepy.
Not since Winter Soldier and now this, so it's undisputed. I don't think Andre's gonna dispute that movie at all. So.
That's the best Batman movie ever made, period.
Yeah.
Including everything.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So good. His origin, everything. Like they even tweaked the whole Joker thing and people were cool with it.
Yeah.
Like Batman Beyond Return of the Joker is really crazy as well too.
Hey, come on now. Come on now.
Oh, I'm gonna write this down as my pick. All right.
Don't worry, Rob. You got next. Oh, you're gonna make Andre squirm. It's gonna be rough.
Oh man.
Oh, okay. No. There's no debate, no questions. If you have not seen that movie, please go get your hands on it and watch that film.
It's so good. Yeah, it could be your introduction to Batman,
especially if you're
as
a Batman
character.
fan,
Yeah. You know, Tia Carrere on the ending credit song.
Okay.
Now you
Rob, you lost us.
This was tough because I'll be honest with you, as much as I enjoy the animated movies, a lot of them I just don't like because they're adaptations of really good stories, and I'm always like, man, too much creative license. So so Batman, obviously, Phantasm was mine, but I'm going to go with Green Lantern: First Flight.
That was good
one.
Yeah, because I felt that wasn't really. I mean, it took a little bit of his origin stuff, but it was kind of an original. And Chris Maloney was the voice of Green Lantern in that one.
Yep.
And I love that. Like, I watched that movie quite a few times. Right, I remember showing my son that movie, and I was like, "This is." It was fun, right? And that is just the most fun movie aside from Phantasm. It was the most fun movie. And
when did that come? Did that come out before the Ryan Reynolds live action, or was it?
It was like right around the same time.
Yeah.
Like maybe 2 months either pre or post. Yeah, it was really, really close. So.
Yeah. Okay. I special shout out to, and maybe Andre will take it, but Green Lantern Emerald Knights is also a top great one because
they've done Green Lantern right, like the TV series too. Like if you've ever watched the CG animated TV series, that was incredible.
Here's the thing about Green Lantern. It's perfect in comic book form. It's amazing animation, live action. It's just difficult because the constructs and whatnot. But Nathan Fillion was the voice of Hal Jordan in that one, and Elizabeth Moss is in that movie too. So that one's a good one too. But Andre, go for it.
Okay, so I'm gonna say maybe the Justice League Unlimited, the last movie series where it was Superman versus Brainiac, and he's like, I can cut loose finally, like that was just amazing. Like Superman's just punching him through.
Brainiac or Darkseid?
Superman.
Darkseid.
Superman. Yeah. Brainiac attacks is the official name of the movie. Yes.
Phenomenal. Like the whole Justice League Unlimited series was just incredible. But that particular one where it's like for saying for Superman, it's like, yes, I could finally, cut loose. I think it was.
Take it.
Wasn't that Doomsday or not Doomsday? Sorry, that Brainiac took over Darkseid or something.
They combined, I think.
Yeah.
It was just like this, and he was just. I remember this just pounding.
No, he combines with Luthor, doesn't he? Or does he?
Yeah, something. Yeah. It was a combination, but that one was phenomenal. Like the whole.
But the season before was the Cadmus stuff, right? With all the fake superhero clones and stuff. Like I remember that being amazing.
Yeah. That's a great choice, Andre. My movie is something recent that just came out, and I watched it with pure joy, and I loved every moment of it. It's Teen Titans Go versus Teen Titans. It's everything I love. The original Teen Titans, the broody ones are back, and then they combine the young, like, kids Teen Titans show. And I love the original Teen Titans TV show where there was a storyline and there was the Tara and like all that stuff. So they had a whole plot line, basically the multiverse. All the Teen Titans had to come together. So they brought the Teen Titans from the new Young Justice show. They brought the Teen Titans from Teen Titans Go. They brought the Teen Titans from the original like show from the 2000s. And then a bunch of like the fish people Teen Titans and like a multiverse thing. And it was super fun and ridiculous and lots of jokes. It's a fun time to watch, and for me, it was like they even referenced the Teen Titans, like the live action show, and they're like, yeah, this is not a world we want to be involved in, and they're just walking away from it. So it's super fun and enjoyable for all. So any strange thoughts before we jump over to our last category on animated movies? Any other shout outs quickly before we go?
Young Justice is amazing.
No.
But they didn't. Not really a movie, but
movie wise, because Okay. Okay. So we're gonna jump over to non-Marvel / DC properties. So John, you are up first.
Non-Marvel DC. The best thing I could come up with is the Carl Urban Dread movie, or I guess it's called Dread. I think it's official. Sorry,
it's just called Dread. Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah,
you get Stallone and Snyder.
I'm the law.
Yeah. The law.
Funny story. My brother-in-law was showing his kids, or showing some kids, Dread, and he was thinking, oh, the Stallone Rob Snyder one. And in the first opening of that movie, they dropped down the bodies with no skin. And the kids just went, "Oh no!" And he's like, "I'm turning off."
Yeah.
But
That movie, Dread, is amazing.
It's basically Raid.
The Raid, yeah.
With Judge Dredd, but it was cool. It was like it was like a day in the life of Judge Dredd. It wasn't like, oh, this is going to end the world. It was just like another Tuesday for Judge Dredd, and he's got a new rookie he's bringing along with him. And yeah, man, I wish that could have got some. They have always teased that it's coming back, or Carl Urban's going to do another one, but it's always like fake rumors. So,
but that movie flew under most people's radar because I think everybody associated it with the Stallone Dredd, and it's too bad because I've shown people, I have it on 3D on my television. I've shown like my brother-in-law, my sister-in-law, said, you guys have got to watch this, and we'll sit back for it's like 90 minutes. Put the glass. It's an amazing movie, and it doesn't get the credit. Well, with the come over to my place, I'll show you because the 3D it really enhances.
Whoa, social distancing. It
really enhances how amazing that movie is. And Carl Urban as Dredd was just like that was amazing casting. And I actually think Alex Garland, did a lot of writing on that, and they're saying that he's the guy who did Ex Machina and some of that. He might have actually directed a lot of that movie as well. There's been a lot of rumor about that kind of taking over. So
you can do no wrong, but please be appropriate age to watch Dredd. Right. Yes, Rob, carry on.
Okay, so since John once again is taking,
I'm pretty sure I said it earlier.
No, I think we said it for you. Okay, I would have gone with A History of Violence with Viggo Mortensen, but it's a Vertigo, which is owned by DC. So I'm going to go to The Crow with Brandon Lee.
Oh, hey, good choice. Nice, man. Deep cut. I forgot about the good one.
So I just watched this again a little while ago, and I went to the theater to see this. Man, I'm really dating myself here, but I went to the theater and watched this movie. I loved The Crow, and I still watch it maybe once every 16, 18 months or so. Yeah. It's a great movie. The sequels, I won't watch them. Yeah. But and I don't know if it's because it's a great movie in and of itself, right? And also,
did you ever watch the TV show with Mark Dukakis, and they basically remade the first movie in the pilot?
Yeah, no, and I turned it off. I was like, nope, not having it. No, The Crow with Brandon Lee was, and again, it was directed by Alex Proyas, who did Dark City, right? So,
that's great.
I love the Crow, and it still holds up. It still holds up against some of the special effects, but I think because they had to use some of that CG to kind of fill in for Brandon Lee. But yeah, it's a great movie, and I would totally recommend it for people who are age appropriate.
Yep, Andre.
Okay, so I'm gonna go with a movie based on a graphic novel, not a super, and very, very cool graphic novel. And I think the movie.
He's gonna say The Wanted.
But I love Mark Millar so much. I'm gonna go with The Fountain, and it was directed by Darren Aronofsky, starring Hugh Jackman and Rachel Weisz, and it's a story about life and dealing with cancer and stuff, and it's a really it's a hard movie to watch, but it was just so well done. Again, I don't think people realize it was based on a graphic novel, but I definitely recommend it. I think but you have to probably be in the right mindset to watch it. And I don't think
it's really out there, right? I remember the trailer being really out there.
It's super creative and stuff like that, but it's just hard, and I think maybe not the best time to watch it because there are people right now dealing with a lot of illnesses and stuff like that. But I will say it's a moving love story, and that's at the core of it. It's kind of like, do you guys remember that film What Dreams May Come with Robin Williams?
Oh, man. Yeah, that's super sad.
That movie was so great and
super duper sad.
You can't rewatch it, right? So this one, The Fountain, for me is like that. But I do own it on both Blu-ray and HD DVD, just in case.
In case HD DVD makes a comeback.
Andre's like, I also have it on like
Laserdisc.
Laserdisc, yes. Okay, I'm gonna jump to a happier
man,
place.
Stu, what are you
guys? I'm anchoring.
Man,
you
what
guys all
that Robin Williams movie probably the saddest movie I've ever seen.
Yeah. It's good for
Saddest.
you Catholics out there. Scott Pilgrim versus the World is the movie.
Yeah,
It is for those who are in Toronto in the GTA. There's moments of that. Captain America, Superman, you name it, including the Huntress, all in this movie. It is great. Age appropriate. I think you could probably get 12, 13-year-old to watch it, and it still is appropriate. It's a great movie. It's a fun time, and Mr. O'Malley, has it's one of the good ones. So
does
that
it
is
hold up, Stu? Have you seen it recently?
I have seen it recently. It is still visually beautiful. The Easter eggs are still there. Edgar Wright really knows what he's doing. It's because the cell phones and stuff are kind of not as huge in the movie. There's a lot of stuff going on. It's actually, and Brie Larson. Oh yeah, she's in that movie. She is. Yeah, she's great too. So
what? You use Brie Larson and great in the same.
Academy Award winner, Brie Larson. Don't forget that she's got an Oscar for another Canadian film, The Room. So speaking of joy rides, so it still holds up. I watched it just a little while ago on Blu-ray. Just even the introduction when the Zelda movie music comes on, and just like it just gets you rolling. And if you know some of the pizzas and things, like for us people, Easter eggs are all abound, and you can pick it up, and Honest Ed's in the background. It's great. It's great.
Oh man, yeah, and that's one of those movies where it actually did drive sales of the comics. Like people picked up the graphic novels, but like crazy, like that 300, Sin City, those movies like huge.
Because
bump
to Andre's point, it very much honored the source material. It was very much the bit by bit what it was, and people came in and bought stuff. So that's the trifecta of what Andre loves in life. Okay, so now we're gonna go to guilty pleasures. We're gonna ramp things up, and this is gonna be rough. So John, your guilty pleasure of the MCU is what movie? For those who are not aware what a guilty pleasure is, it's a movie that if you were to own, you would not display. It's a movie that you would not typically say it's your go-to movie. It is on in the background. You will watch it. However, if someone you know walks in, you will turn it off and change the channel immediately. So what is your guilty pleasure, John Ho?
So if we're talking MCU, I was going to say that new Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. I did see that in theaters, and
you can get that too later on.
I enjoyed. Okay, so all right, so I'm gonna pick. This might be funny or not. Iron Man 2.
Okay. Yeah. Makes sense.
Iron Man 2 with the Justin Hammer character, the first Don Cheadle as War Machine, first Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow. Like, it's got so many, like, it's got, not, I wouldn't say so many, but it's got moments where I'm just like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like, Black Widow gets to do her thing. And even Jon Favreau, like, kind of like, as happy, like, fights a bunch of dudes, and then like Iron Man and War Machine just tear everything up at the end. And the banter, like I was gonna ask Rob like what he thought about Terrence Howard leaving the Iron Man, if he would have wanted to see Terrence Howard continue.
No.
I like the banter between them.
Yeah.
When he's like, okay, Tony, this is the kill box. This is where you don't want to be. I'm gonna go over there. And then Tony's like, I'm gonna be right here. He's like, this is the kill box. This is where you don't like that type of stuff. And then like I thought that was really fun.
Agreed.
And but overall the movie, you don't want to watch it as a whole, but I will watch parts of it or turn it on in the background and stuff like that. The Iron Man DJ party was really questionable, but
just like the rave in the Matrix. Carry on, Rob.
Machines.
Are these guilty pleasures strictly for the MCU movies then?
Just strictly for the MCU movies.
Okay, so then I'm gonna go with the Incredible Hulk.
The Ang Lee?
No, not the Ang Lee. No. The Incredible Hulk, the one with Edward Norton. Ed Norton.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Well,
that's the forgotten movie.
But I think
so good. Yeah.
But I think it's a guilt. First of all, I like the opening, the scene about how he becomes, he gets irradiated, and with the gamma, it reminds me of the original 70s Incredible Hulk.
It was like
TV
a quick
show,
right?
Through, yeah. And there's a lot of callbacks to that. Like when he says in Spanish, don't make me hungry.
Yeah.
Right. But it's not a great movie. Especially like the Hulk looks horrible.
Really? I thought he looked really cool.
Nobody's going to ever believe Tim Roth was some super soldier. I mean, that he's only, and all respect to Tim Roth, but he's only like 5'6", I think. And he's not like, you know, you need somebody who looks intimidating, not who looks like, you know, 52 years old as a soldier, like, right? I think there's a lot of problems
back
with
here. Look at that.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of problems with that movie, but I will say it does. I quite enjoy a lot of it. Enough of a guilty pleasure. That scene, I mean, it's at UFT, right? In the bridge, totally. And you know, when he gets stuck in there, and the whole thing with the eyes, and it goes back to that TV show. I mean, the TV show did it so well, like, you know, focusing on his eyes, right, as he transforms and stuff like that. You know, there's a lot wrong with that movie, but there's a lot right. And I'm gonna go with Incredible Hulk.
Got it. I respectfully disagree. It's a great one. Andre.
That was good. That's a good movie.
That's a good one, though. Yeah.
So my guilty pleasure, I don't own it, and even if I did own it, I would never admit to owning it.
So, AKA right now.
And I only own it for 2 scenes, and that's Avengers Endgame. The scene I love watching.
I know what's coming.
and I love Doctor Strange just giving it to Tony, like that's
the number one, the you know, scenario. Yeah. Andre, that's
you die. This goes out to Andre. One scenario where this Downey Jr. guy is gone from the MCU.
Wow, Andre, that's amazing. My guilty pleasure is Thor: The Dark World. I
haven't even seen it. I
kind of like it a lot. It's a movie that if it was playing in the background, I would entirely watch. I really,
for Loki though. You watch it for Loki though.
I have a brother, and we have, you know, and I think that relationship with, if you have a sibling, it's so indicative of like siblings. You know, just sometimes you're moody, sometimes you're not seeing eye to eye, but there are moments when stuff gets real and you actually come together. And there are moments when you're siblings and nothing goes together as well. So there are moments of that B arc of just Thor and Loki working together, and just that stuff alone is fantastic. And then the scene where
you're digging deep, man. That movie was
no, I'm saying it's not ideal.
I retched in my popcorn. Like I was just
but this the moment and to
I
your
never made it past
point,
the intro.
The moment when Thor releases Loki and they're walking through that hallway, like that is the go-to scene where you could watch over and over, and it's a lot of fun. Like
I will say though that
changes and whatnot. So,
but that movie though, it does have a. I mean, listen, it was important enough that they harked back in Andre's favorite movie of Endgame, right? Like they could have gone to any other Thor movie, but they actually went to that one because I think there was an importance of it.
Well, the writers of Endgame wrote Thor: The Dark World, so they're coming back to it.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
They're like, oh well, we gotta go back to our masterpiece. So yeah, no, there's moments, and again, when you have siblings and you have that, and the relationship with the mom too, and just, you know, seeing a little bit of range when it comes to a father mourning the loss of a spouse, and just like what, you know, he's just irrational, and there's just moments like Malekith is insert villain B of the week, but like the family dynamic between Thor and Odin and that is where it drives the movie for me rather than anything else. Natalie Portman's Natalie Portman. Okay, so we're gonna jump to non MCU movies. John, what do you got for your number one guilty pleasure?
Non-MCU. Okay, I guess I'll go with the Harley Quinn then.
What? This is not.
Even though
this is the Marvel movies, non-MCU movies.
Non-MCU movies. So
yeah,
like,
but still a Marvel movie. Yes.
We're talking like an X-Men or something like that.
Yes. You just did this already, like 20, 30 minutes ago. What do you...
Have we started recording yet?
I think, you know, yeah, sorry.
John, what I'm gonna rack up and say your 2 daughters are in the background messing you up.
No, they're still asleep. I thought this was the same category, so I don't really.
Yeah, we're in the non, like you already picked your what's the movie that is guilty pleasure that's a Marvel movie that's not part of the MCU?
Oh man, I don't think I got nothing unless we're just going to X-Men stuff. I don't know. I wouldn't say any of the X-Men are my guilty pleasures. 3 was trash. 1 and 2 are tolerable.
John,
I never
you're the
watched
first
Apocalypse. I got nothing. You're gonna have to cycle back. I gotta take last pick.
Wow.
Rob, you're up.
He's deferring. Rob, go for it.
Oh man. Guilty pleasure of non-MCU movie. Yes, X3 is trash, right? Absolute trash. But at least that one scene as Wolverine's climbing those stairs and his skin is flaking off, and you can see, right? Like for me, that was a great scene. The whole movie, the rest of the movie was not well done at all. But you got to see Beast. Kelsey Grammer made it a great Beast.
Yep,
I prefer him over Nicholas out any day of the week, right?
That's because we love Fraser. It's not comparable. We have 14 years of Fraser in our life.
That's right. Where was Niles?
Toss salad and scrambled eggs, man. Come on, let's.
So I'd probably have to go with X3. I mean, it's an atrocious movie, but there is something a little bit fun about it. I think it makes it more atrocious because X2 was just that much better. X2 was amazing, right?
Brett Ratner, cut.
Yeah. So you go with Brett Ratner and you get X3, but I'll go with X3.
Look at Andre. Andre's like, whoa.
John, do you have your pick now before, or are we going to Andre?
Before we go into Andre,
do you have something?
I think I'll actually pick Blade 2 then. Since you guys already trashed Blade 2, so that would be my guilty pleasure because Donnie Yen in the choreography and stuff. But that's the CG is pretty bad, so that's pretty hard to watch. And Blade's like suplexing guys and doing weird stuff like that. So
Norman Reedus, it's a good one. Norman Reedus.
Ron Perlman is in that too, right?
Ron Perlman. There's a lot of good little characters and I know you're not a.
I forget how he kills Ron Perlman, but he does like some really cheesy like
it was the
one-liner and
it was the bomb.
He sticks him with the thing but he says something funny and then throws him in like a pit of blood or something.
Because Nuke, spoiler, twists it around. It's like I was working with him all the time, and then Blade's like I knew this, and then he stuck the thing on Ron Perlman, and when Perlman puts the button, Blade flips around and then does the thing and it blows him up. So that was the thing. Andre, what do you got?
Wolverine Origins.
Oh!
You're not watching that.
Nobody watches that.
Oh, you took it. No, that was my movie.
All right,
snap! You own a copy of that shit.
Wolverine was just he was just perfect. This movie was just like fun, and it was so bad that I
claw shit
making fun of it while I was watching it that I'm like, I have to buy this so I can remember all the jokes I did about like. But it was still went to the theater, had popcorn. The wife and I dug it. It is what it is. It's literally the guilty pleasure. Like
Wow.
It got leaked, right? This was a
did,
controversy around it. It got leaked, and the special effects look like trash on a stick.
The claws, right? The claws were really bad.
that was horrible in the mirror. And then like some of the, I guess he fly. I don't even remember it.
It was all previs. It was all the previs stuff. They hadn't completed it yet, right?
But it didn't look better. When it came out, it didn't look any better.
No,
they said, "Oh, this will be better." No, it wasn't. But that first 15 minutes of that movie is the best X stuff. Like it's unbelievable where Sabretooth and Wolverine fight through the various wars together, and you're like, this is
the Sabretooth that bounces along the floor.
Until they get to Vietnam,
Ray
it's
Donovan,
awesome.
Ray
it's
Donovan.
like, oh, this is Ray Von Donovan, yeah.
It was the exact same movements that they used for the apes in Fox's Planet of the Apes. They were the exact same. I was like, oh, the same choreographer.
Okay, so my movie is, I have to pivot. Blade Trinity is the movie that
you can't watch that shit.
When
they got a blind girl watching the security system.
Yes, 100%.
They're like, well, they got in how?
I'm 100% in.
Dude, if you're picking that only for Patton Oswalt, I will give
No.
Okay.
Triple H, my friend. Triple H.
Oh, Triple H.
Oh! Triple H. Hunter Hearst
He fights
Helmsley.
Jessica Biel, right?
Yes, he does fight Jessica Biel. There's the whole Jessica Biel thing. There's Ryan Reynolds just being, and the fact that Wesley Snipes went full like method, and you could really see him go full Blade. Like you're watching that movie going, I'm not sure whether he believes he is or not. Like, it's so stupid, the Dracula character or whatever the vampire is. But that movie,
this is where he didn't even work out. He wore a vest over like a long sleeve shirt.
That was Dominic Purcell. That's Heatwave from Legend.
Prison Break. Prison
Break. Yeah.
And then Parker Posey was in that movie. You're
That's
like,
right,
what is happening? Yeah,
With
Ryan
the
Reynolds.
dogs.
Was full Ryan Reynolds in that movie, and it was.
I think Ryan Reynolds was trying to save that movie. He was throwing everything out there,
Yeah.
and the director was probably like, "This is the only thing I got." Ryan Reynolds makes some jokes, and we're just going to put as many of these in as possible.
That was David Goyer.
Yeah.
David Goyer. That was his directorial debut.
Yeah, it was a mess.
Was it? Oh, he's pretty bad.
Yeah, it was moments. I think Ryan Reynolds
Played one.
is really fun for me, but that's basically Ryan Reynolds plays Ryan Reynolds. This is the precursor
as
to
he always does.
The precursor to Deadpool, and then he became Deadpool in Wolverine Origins, and then that is basically the same as this is him. So he's the Vince Vaughn of comic movies. It's just the same guy over and over. But
the intention was to spin those two characters into their own series, right?
Just something weird.
Well, I think the producer said, "Hey, listen, I really like what you've done with this character. I can't remember his name.
Hannibal Caine?
Abraham.
Yeah.
Abraham something, right, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So I said, "Hey, we're gonna or Hannibal, yeah. So talk about Deadpool. Like, I think that's kind of how I believe the genesis of the idea of Deadpool kind of was born of his character in that Deadpool 3 movie. So, or Blade 3.
We can do a Mount Rushmore of Canadian comic book characters later, but we pretty much already addressed all three. John, as we're cognizant of time, jumping to DC movies, what is your guilty pleasure? Now you can finally talk about Harley Quinn and the blah, 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 blah.
Harley Quinn, the emancipation of one Harley Quinn, later renamed to Harley Quinn Birds of Prey. I'm pretty sure none of y'all saw it. I thought it was fun, but recalling it after other people have seen it and they describe it to me, I'm like, okay, maybe I was a little off. I was biased from seeing it with a buddy and having the popcorn and everything like that. But I like the characters in it. Like the new, like the Huntress and all the Rosie Perez and all the other characters. Like, I had fun with it, but I don't know if I watched it again, I'd be like, okay, maybe I was wrong.
Oh boy, Rob, what do you got for us?
I mean, it's really easy to go to any recent DCU movie, right? I mean,
Shazam.
Right? Yeah. Well, I actually kind of like Shazam. I liked it better watching it at home than I did in the theater. But I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go. Oh man, let's just finish off the Ryan Reynolds trifecta. I'm gonna go Green Lantern.
I watched it after the fact, and I remember thinking this is not that bad.
There's a lot that's wrong with it because I think we all would have preferred a much different Green Lantern, right?
The Jack Black movie.
Yes, we really wanted to see Jack Black. Yeah,
that's Kyle Rayner.
I just it. First of all, they destroyed Parallax, the character of Parallax, and everything, and Hector was it Hector Hedman? Hey, the main villain, right? Yeah. And then, but I like the very end. This how Sinestro turns to yellow, gets the yellow spectrum and all that. It's an okay movie. It's not great by any means. I know Ryan Reynolds and Taika Waititi are constantly slagging it. But you know what? Throw it on. It's a Sunday afternoon when it's raining and you're kind of just put something on the background. It's not bad. It's a good movie for that purpose.
Agreed. Andre.
So like I guess I was gonna say Aquaman, but I actually really, really like the new Aquaman movie, like legit.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's a guilty pleasure. I think it's a pleasurable. I think a movie that more fits that is the Justice League movie, because I just felt real the circumstances of the movie and that it got cut twice, and there was moments in that I could really watch. Like, I think Gal Gadot was amazing in it. Her interaction with Cyborg was good, but just the rest of the movie, it just literally, you could tell it was like a miss, just cutting of pieces and putting it together. So again, not a guilty pleasure because I liked it. I think maybe more of a guilty pleasure because I feel bad for what the end product was because of how they chose to edit it and put it out. I think if they put that movie on the back burner and let Zack Snyder finish it and released it a year later, I think it would have been a really different movie. But there are definitely parts in it that I could rewatch and enjoy. And we saw it in the theater, and I didn't hate it after walking out of the theater for it. So,
yeah, I agree with you. The movie I'm picking is Batman Forever. That movie,
Chris O'Donnell,
Tommy Lee Jones, Chris O'Donnell, Jim Carrey. There are there's so much to unravel.
Does it have Alicia Silverstone?
No,
that's Batman and Robin.
That's Batman and Robin with Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's another real.
Oh, I should have picked that.
Yeah, John. Yeah, you should have.
That.
You should have.
Nice to see you.
That movie was also really awful, but something about Jim Carrey really going full in Jim Carrey. And Tommy Lee Jones looking so pissed, going, I can't believe I'm in this movie with this guy. Like, you could see it in his eyes. He's like, can we do another scene with this guy? Like, Jim Carrey.
Who's Batman in that? George Clooney?
Val Kilmer.
No back card.
Which I gotta say, he actually did a pretty decent job. I will say, he did a pretty decent job.
The one scene I remember was when Alfred's like, do you want me to do your laundry? And then Chris O'Donnell kung fuing his like laundry together. And I'm like, what is happening? Why is he like kung fuing his like laundry? I was like, oh my God, this is brutal. Yeah, it was a movie where it was just over the top. It was the first of the movies that went really crazy.
Campy.
And there was the whole whack of crazy thing with that movie.
Was Don the Dragon Wilson in that one as well, right? Because wasn't that the one where they had the neon gang fight?
Yeah.
And Chris O'Donnell steals the Batmobile.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, ladies, want to come ride in my love machine? Like that. And then Don the Dragon Wilson drops down and they're all in neon. Because that's Joel Schumacher, right? I mean,
yeah.
That was on the heels of parents really upset about how dark they thought Batman Returns was. So they wanted to make it more kid-friendly.
They really pivoted.
Oh, Batman Returns. Is that an underrated gem?
Yes.
Christopher Walken.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
It's at least, this movie is at least watchable. Batman and Robin is not.
No, I agree.
Oh,
like, you can't
differ.
Can
I change my choice?
No, John. No.
I remember how thrilled I was to hear that Arnold Schwarzenegger was going to be a Batman movie.
We're gonna forever remind you of your miss today, and you had first pick too. So no, and then Okay, so we're gonna jump over to DC animated movies. There've been, Rob, you mentioned before, there've been so many misses in terms of like amalgamations of like different storylines. But John, what is the worst DC animated film, or your guilty pleasure DC animated film?
Oh man, I don't think I got anything for this one. I haven't watched a lot of the new ones though, and I'll say that to Rob's point that some of the new ones like Flashpoint and things like that, they just like the source materials. I don't know if it's just because we have more expectations for it. They seem like, when I watch them, they seem like they should be good, but they're not living up to it.
Well, Flashpoint is probably the one that will be your pick, because I think that there are good points and many bad points.
Like I can't even remember the last like current one that I like really enjoyed. Maybe like they did a Suicide Squad one, right?
Yeah.
I remember that one. I remember that one being all right. And I haven't watched any of the new ones, even the Batman TMNT and stuff like that. I haven't watched those, so I don't know if I could properly judge this one.
All right, Rob, go for it.
Oh man, I'm stuck because the only one I can think of is, I don't even know if I know the actual title. Was it? Was it JLA versus the New Titans, or is that the one?
The British one, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think I watched that with my son. We were on Netflix. He was sick one day, and it was Thanksgiving at my brother-in-law's house, and I was the only one there cooking dinner. Everybody was gone, so I threw that on for him, and I'm just kind of getting sucked in and watching it. I think I don't rewatch a lot of these animated movies. Some of them are great, but they're just not my. When you have so many things to watch, it doesn't really bubble up for me. So.
I think because we read the comic version of it, we're just kind of like we start watching. We're just like, yeah, no, I've seen the story already. You just turn it off.
Well, it's like the I haven't watched it because I've been kind of fearful. Is the Death and Return of Superman adaptation that they did, right?
The first part is pretty good. The first part is pretty good. I
really like that storyline, and I'm just so hesitant to want to watch that movie because I just like don't ruin it for me because I know they will, right? Like you've got Superman with a collar, right? I mean,
yeah.
All right.
I remember part 1 being very, very like decent.
Yeah.
And I always get friends who tell me later, they're like, "Oh, it was really good," and I try to watch it, and I'm like, "No, I'm not feeling it."
You got anything, Andre?
I think
these guys are floundering.
I was trying to find the correct name. It was the Justice League Origin movie from the New 52.
Crisis on Two Earths? Is that the one? No,
isn't that War?
Maybe it was Justice League War, but it was basically the Jim Lee and Scott's and Jeff Johns Justice
League War. Yeah, I think it's Justice League War. Yeah,
and the comic was so good. And then the animation, like, again, it started good and stuff like that, and I wanted to like it. And I think it was just more of watching it because I enjoyed the comic. But I think it was just like, not what it's cracked up to be. And of course, for me with these animated stuff, because I tend to like most of them. You buy them. I don't even watch them first. I'm just like I go and I buy them on Blu-ray and I watch and I'm like, oh, okay. So it's like okay, it's okay, but it didn't have the feeling of the comic. So I guess more of a missed opportunity than a guilty pleasure, but it's cool. The Flashpoint Paradox was decent.
Justice League Dark is my guilty pleasure.
I heard it was good.
Love magic. I liked the characters, but the way they did Swamp Thing dirty really threw me off. I was like, really? You're just throwing Swamp Thing under the bus? So there's the way they kind of, to you guys' point, we talked about Superman, the way they kind of got rid of characters, and spoiler alert, they basically just kill Swamp Thing very quickly. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? So there's moments in the movie where I like things, but again, Batman was there for no reason. Like they had to shoehorn Batman in this movie. So I'm like, can I just hang out with Constantine and Zatanna and not have Batman? Like Batman's like, what is this magic thing? Like, what's going on? And I'm like, so there are moments where I just want magic, the Dark Justice League Dark to be there without Batman. Like I don't need Batman in all my teams. It's kind of like the Wolverine. I don't need Wolverine in all my teams either. So I like certain parts, but I would never buy the movie. I would definitely turn it off if someone walked in the room. Like, why is this on? And I fast forward to scenes that I wanted to go to. So we are finally at our last category, non-Marvel DC films. So John, your number one pick, please have something in mind. What do you have for your guilty pleasure?
Non-Marvel DC?
Yep.
Just comics in
any
general.
comic book movie that's not part of the Marvel or DC universe. What is your guilty pleasure? What movie do you want to? What is it?
I'd probably go with. I don't know. I've watched it a couple times, hoping it would get better each time I watched it. But you know that they made an adaptation of The Losers, which was an Andy Diggle book with Chris Evans and stuff like that. But it's not.
DC,
it's not a superhero. It's like a Vertigo though.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. No. I agree. Yeah.
I keep hoping it to be better every time I watch it. Zoe Salinger and stuff. Like it had like
Idris Elba.
All these. It had like all these people in it, and the book I loved.
It had Papa Winchester. So it had Chris Evans.
But it never gets better. Like.
And the comic was amazing.
Yeah, there was that other movie. What was it called? Push with Chris Evans.
Yeah.
But that's not based off of anything. But I would actually more recommend that, and that as a guilty pleasure, that something that could have turned into something.
How are you just making up your rules, John? No, I pick whatever you want.
Watch Push.
No. John's just making up rules.
Should have been a comic movie.
It's not part of our Fantastic Four.
You're a comic, John.
Jeez.
Push did have.
We're gonna push over because.
But it wasn't based off a comic, was it?
It was.
No. Push?
Push? Yeah. Okay, I'll go with Push then. Look at that. I fit
What?
I fit myself into the box without knowing. Sorry, Stu.
Let's. All right, we're gonna fact check that. It is a DC comic, so it doesn't. 2009 DC comic, something about that. So, anyways, I don't know if it counts, but yes, Rob, go for it.
This is tough because there's not a lot of superhero movies that are non-DC, non-Marvel. That can be considered a guilty pleasure. And I don't even know if this is technically a guilty pleasure, but I'm going to go with 1997 Spawn.
Get out of here. Get out. Get out. I couldn't even watch that back in the day. And I love Michael J. White. I love you, Michael J. White. But no.
I'm going to, so quickly, I remember a buddy and I, we went downtown Toronto. We may have partaken in illegal substances that are now legal in Ontario. And I remember walking. They're now legal. Yeah, so I remember walking into the theater with like a bag of Twizzlers, and I remember the opening of like the letters flying at you in fire, and then I remember the movie ending, and I was like, "What just happened?" Because we were just so baked. But I rewatched it, and I was like, "Oh, it's okay. It's a horrible movie, but there's something." It's so bad, it's good. And that's where I think like the guilty pleasure aspect has to come in, is that when that movie is on and you're watching it and you're like Martin Sheen, right, who was President Bartlett just like 6 months prior. He's got like that fake black beard and stuff like that, right? And you're watching this, and I'm like, oh, and you know what? The visual effects, like the actual makeup on Spawn was pretty on point. I gotta say it. Like the hamburger face, it was decent.
John Leguizamo is rough in that movie.
Oh, the clown.
But you know what? The guy was squatting the entire time. So there's I gotta give some, the poor guy was waddling for hours and hours on end, right? So it's not a great movie at all. If anybody wants to Spawn, I go back to the HBO animated stuff. Those are great. Yeah. But I'll go guilty pleasure Spawn movie.
Great. So just a quick reference. Push was a Wildstorm production. So under Jim Lee, who founded it. So It was under the parent company of DC Comics eventually, but it first published Push was 2008. DC Wildstorm was the year before the movie came out. So yeah, that
I don't know why it's backwards, but whatever.
we're gonna let that one. Technically, it's an off-brand shoot, but we're gonna let that one go, John, because you're hurting. Andre, what is the movie?
I didn't understand the topic.
You had 4 times to figure this out.
The top 4, and before the show, we even went through the prep, and I just like.
All right.
Sorry, Sue.
So for me, this is definitely a guilty pleasure movie, and I'm gonna take flack for owning it. I own this movie, okay? And The Mask with Jim Carrey and Cameron Diaz.
Yeah,
man, I own that on VHS.
Yeah, I love that movie. Like I can watch that again. That I would think that movie, but man, like Jim Carrey in his prime with the stupid mask and the heart coming out when he saw Cameron Diaz was just smoking back then. It was just like. It's just fun, man. It was just a pretty cool book. But again, I didn't know anything about The Mask when I saw it.
Yeah.
And now knowing what The Mask is like, I'm like, it's not really close to the source material, but the movie was just entertaining.
Yeah. Well, but they tailored it for the audience of the day. And you're right, man. Jim Carrey was the Ace Ventura at that point, right? So
when's did Jim Carrey come back?
Yeah.
The Caressence. So I'm surprised I have my choices available to me. Like I
Sonic the Hedgehog.
No.
Video game, John. Come on.
John just breaking
up comic books, John.
It's a video game first, then comic book. We have to look at the origins of when things come.
All right, fine.
Like I had some options, but. I look back at this movie, the 2 movies I thought. One was Time Cop. That atrocious, and I love it.
Is that based on a comic?
It is based on a comic. But
it is.
But the movie.
Read between the lines.
Yeah, so I can't believe that fell to me. That was going to be my backup. But my movie that I have to pick is Mystery Men. That movie.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
With Ben Stiller and Janine Garofalo.
Wasn't it considered good at the time?
It was never considered.
No.
Oh, I was. It was all,
it's you know, there are moments. I rewatched a little while ago, and it's a little bit above its time. I think a lot of it was just like the commentary of the comic books, and Greg Kinnear was Captain Amazing. So there's like moments, and you're like, this is great, and then the Shoveler and like Invisible Boy, and like it's just wackadoo movie. So it is. I remember watching the theater, and I go, it's not funny, haha. It's funny, strange. So that's what, you know.
I remember I worked at a video store. We had one copy, and every once in a while, it would go up. Once in a while, someone would rent that, and I'd be like, "Really?"
I remember
Totally
liking
judging.
it. I remember watching it like a lot, like multiple times, watching that and just laughing because it was just so ridiculous, right? It was just like Mr. Furious, right? Ben Stiller on top having a temper tantrum and scratching at the hood ornament, or like the Invisible Guy saying, "Oh, I'm only invisible if like you guys turn around and don't see me." Like it's just absolutely ridiculous, but it's so funny. And I think that was like the first movie that Paul Rubens came back from, right? Like that was his big re-entry into pop culture. So
and it had the Sphinx, which is played by
Hank Azaria.
Hank Azaria. So there are some moments in that movie where I was like,
William
okay,
H. Macy.
Yep, as a shoveler. So anyway, so that's a little longer than expected, but those are our Fantastic Four of fantastic movies from all the different categories and our guilty pleasures. I want to thank everyone for staying with us. If you're still here, God help you if you are. But please, I hope everyone is remaining safe out there, is still social distancing. But I want to thank everyone today. Rob, thanks for coming out. We appreciate
Thanks for having me. It was great
doing this. This is a lot of fun. But thanks, everyone, for joining us, and we'll see you guys shortly. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Stu.
Yeah.
Thank you.